Allez-y, regardez vos émissions préférées sur nos plateformes digitales, Facebook, YouTube et déposez vos commentaires.
The second day of the week, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to English Prime News in the Queen's language. We begin right away with our headlines. The Cameroon Commission of the human rights situation to the parliamentary committee during a committee meeting this Tuesday at the National Assembly, chaired by the chairman of the parliamentary committee. Conditions. This Tuesday, June 22nd, has been celebrated as World Music Day. Its memory late Manu Dibango, who died last March 24th, 2020 due to COVID-19 in Paris and France. More on this in some minutes to come. You're welcome. If you are just joining, this is the 6 p.m. English Prime News over Camdis Television. The Cameroon Commission of Human Rights has presented the human rights situation to the Parliamentary Committee on Constitution during a committee meeting held this Tuesday at the National Assembly, chaired by the committee president, Herses Zondol. More of this report.
The discussion between the Cameroon Human Rights Commission and the Commission on Constitutional Laws, Human Rights and Freedom, Justice, Legislation and Standing Orders and Administration of the National Assembly focused on human rights issues in the country. During the session, the chairman of the Cameroon Human Rights Commission presented the state of the human rights in Cameroon in the year 2020.
The Commission has a broad mandate to promote and to protect human rights, and the Commission has also the duty of the Commission is also to prevent torture. I have called on the parliamentarians to implement the Belgrade principles on relations between parliaments and national human rights institutions. Those principles provide, namely, that parliament should and the national human rights institution should build up a permanent relations.
Some difficulties faced by the commissions were equally presented for onward solution.
We decide to know how is this law really applied in the field. And the president has told us that they start applying this law in the field, but there is some difficulties which remains in terms of office, budget allocation, and even the action in the field, their representation in the regions.
It should never be forgotten that human rights violation has been very rampant in the English-speaking regions of Northwest and Southwest regions, not leaving out the far north region of the country.
The problem we are facing is the access to the places where the allegations of human rights violations are raised. Because we need to conduct on field work, we should to conduct inquiries, but sometimes it's difficult where peace is not there. Thank you.
The exchange between both commissions at the conference center was chaired by the president of the Parliamentary Committee of Human Rights and Freedom, Honorable Nzondol Hesase.
We now talk health, where the United Nations Development Program has strengthened ties with the Cameroon government. They have offered a scanner to the Yaoundé Central Hospital, precisely at the echography and radiology unit. The scanner was received this day by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawuda Malashi, in a bid to ameliorate the working conditions of health personnel in the hospital. More with this report with Ruth Fonyo.
The United Nations Development Program has once again proven its worth and strong friendship ties with Cameroon. This cooperation has offered a high-quality and new-generation scanner to the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The scanner was received at the Medical Imaging Unit, precisely the Echography and Radiology Department of the hospital, by the Health Minister, Dr. Manawuda Malashi, who says the scanner is going to help a lot as the hospital receives about 200,000 patients yearly and 48,000 emergency cases.
The new equipment we've just received, it's a multi-detector CT scan with 64 detectors that allow us to actually obtain 128 images or slides. It allows us to go faster, but also to be able to explore the organ that we couldn't with the CT scan that has been replaced. The other advantage is that we will be able to do vascular imaging, we'll be able to do coronary scanner as well.
The scanner will go a long way to help combat diseases and the coronavirus in less than no time.
We are particularly happy to provide this support to the Hôpital Central of Yaoundé, which is a very important medical infrastructure of the country. This hospital receives about 200,000 patients every year and treats more than 48,000 emergency cases per year. So that is just to tell you how important is this hospital in the health infrastructure of the country. We are particularly happy that we're providing this scanner with a warranty of 2 years, which will allow, in case of any problems, to have some sustainability and some follow-up of this equipment.
Personnel of the Central Hospital are grateful for the kind gesture of the UNDP and hope for better days in the health sector. The President of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya, extends a hand of appreciation through the health boss Manawuda Malashi to the UNDP, who is never relenting its efforts in assisting Cameroon.
Members of the National Assembly have adopted 2 bills. The bills were defended by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, and the Minister of Youth and Civic Education, Monona Futsu. This was during a plenary sitting chaired by the House Speaker, Kavaye Yege Jibril. Bertrand Tita took part and put this report for us.
The bill to ratify Ordinance number 2020/3 of June 7th, 2021, to amend and supplement some provisions of law number 2020/18 of December 17th, 2021, and the bill to organize and promote volunteerism in Cameroon were adopted this Monday, June 21, at the National Assembly during a plenary sitting chaired by the House Speaker, the Right Honorable Kavaye Jibril. During the plenary, the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Motaze, and the Minister of Youth and Civic Education, Monona Foso, defended both bills respectively. During the session, the lawmakers asked pertinent questions to the ministers involved to know how both bills will benefit the country.
Responding to these questions, the Minister disclosed as concerns the incorporation of a follow-up and evaluation program that the enabling instruments which are being drawn up will furnish details on such a program. Talking about the period when volunteering actually begins and incompatibility rules concerning students in particular, the Minister posited that members of all social groups aged 18 at least and enjoying their civic rights are eligible to carry out volunteering activities, and the beginning and end of such activities will depend on the common good of the activities. He added that the contracts between volunteers and the organizations hosting them will contain the necessary details. Your Committee on Education, Vocational Training and Youths adopted each of the sections in its initial form, as well as the entire bill number 1097/PJL/AM to organize and promote volunteering in Cameroon. It now prays the entire House chamber to kindly endorse its conclusions.
The questions posted by the lawmakers were answered by the competent ministers, and both bills were adopted for onward transmission to the upper house of Assembly for adoption.
His Excellency President Paul Biya and Head of Government, Chief Dr. John Guti, have appointed 3 members in the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. As meritorious candidates, some awards, medal awards that were supposed to be given to them on the 20th of May but could not take place due to the cancellation of 20 May activities because of the COVID-19 pandemic that has been claiming more lives in the country, were given to them. This ceremony was chaired by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Bairobi. Ruth Fonyong took part and brought back this report.
Government recognizes the hard work of some Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development workers and appoints them to different posts of responsibilities. These 3 personnel were officially installed this June 21st by Minister Gabriel Bairobi. Excitement is one of the best words to describe how these people feel.
I would like to give thanks to Allah, who allow us all his blessing for the high confidence that the head of state has just placed in my modest person. And in return, I will do my best to support the minister, His Excellency Mr. Bairobi Gabriel. To him, I express all my gratitude for his special attention in my person.
Ready to work and put in their best to assure that the task assigned to them is done.
This will involve to ensure the evaluate the functioning of all the service and the internal control of the ministry. This will involve too the evaluation of the performance of society in relation with the objective set.
In the same vein, some medals were awarded to hardworking and deserving personnel of the ministry who also expressed their gratitude.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, has recognized what I've been doing for the nation Cameroon. And the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development has also confirmed it by giving me this medal today. So I want to thank His Excellency President of the Republic for this wonderful medal he has given to me, and I am promising him that I'm going to do better, be it in my technical services or in my political life. I'm going to put more because it's going to encourage me.
The minister congratulated their predecessors and urged each and everyone to assume responsibility amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the non-soil and not crisis, and natural disaster, and try as much as possible to curb the rate of unemployment in rural areas, especially among women and the young girls, insisting that food security is assured using the modern tools put at their disposal by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya.
We now move over to agriculture, where a 2-day interministerial meeting that has been going on to boost agricultural sector in the country has been going on at Hotel Jega Palace in Yaoundé. The meeting is aimed at guiding agriculturals who are working on the farms to see that we meet up with the President's objective of making Cameroon a developing country and more economical boosting by 2035. We'll have more of this report with Ruth Fonyo.
Under the high patronage of the Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry, the first ever interministerial committee in charge of supporting investors in the aquaculture sector started this June 21st, 2021 at the Jega Palace Hotel in Yaoundé. The 2-day session has as goal to identify difficulties this sector encounters.
The government wants to increase the production. To do that, investors have to have access to waterways, access to land, which depends on the Ministry of Lands. The investor needs authorizations to use water, which depends on the Ministry of Water. The investor has to make sure that his activity is environmentally safe, which depends on the Ministry of Environment. So you see that there are many ministries involved. That's why an interministerial committee has been instituted to be able to bring all these aspects together so that any investors can easily invest, rapidly invest, so that we can produce more fish in Cameroon, and then Cameroon and stop importing as much fish as we're doing now.
Another objective of this discussion session between private investors and the ministry is to do an evaluation of how this sector functions and to perfect things for the future.
This interministerial committee is there to try to see how to encourage investors to produce fish in Cameroon. You know, Cameroon is importing about 150,000 tons of fish each year. That represents almost 400 billion a year that goes just for fish.
In 2013, aquaculture production in Cameroon was estimated at 90,782 tons against 52,139 in 2018. That is an addition of 42%. The search for solution in this domain significantly reduces the rate of fish importation, which is one of the objectives of this first session.
We now move over to the northwest region of the country, where the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism have ended a 3-day workshop. The Commission's mission is to see how to end hate speech and xenophobia, a cankerworm that has been eaten deep into the society. The Commission was headed by His Excellency David Abwem and Barrister Nico Hale. This meeting was highly also attended by, we have humanitarians who came from different parts of the country. We had journalists who also came to see and debate on how to make this a positive result. We have more of this report with our Northwest Regional Correspondent, Neba Jerome.
Corruption, unemployment, exclusion, marginalization, stigmatization, tribalism, nepotism, embezzlement are some of the root causes outlined during a 3-day conclave that took place in Bamenda by a delegation made up of members of the National Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. During the conclave, attendees were asked to speak freely without fear or favor.
Has the government looked into Moja? Have we looked into the DDR page on Facebook? They are not preaching what the DDR should be doing at this point in time. The words they use, Facebook cannot understand. Assume that they say, let's kill everybody in Bamenda. They will use the word kumkumai, because many people will not understand kumkum means to kill.
Those who are stopping the hate speech, they are not in this hall. Those who are supposed to stop the killing, they are not in this hall. Can we go to the bushes? Can we go to the army barracks? Tell them to stop the killing, stop the hate speech, then it will stop. Let us speak to the right person.
The commission lead promised all the participants that all the discussions will be taken to the head of state for onward implementation.
The commission will like the pressmen and the civil society organizations and youth organizations and humanitarian and caritative organizations to continue doing the marvelous job they are doing and carry it to all the quarters, nooks and corners of this country, this message of peace, love, unity, justice, so that we all fight hate speech and xenophobia.
Barrister Nico Hale admits that it is as a result of frustration that Cameroonians have embraced hate speech and xenophobic tendency as a normal affair.
We have come not just to look at hate speech and xenophobia, but to identify honestly the origin, the root causes. And unless we diagnose the root causes, this will just be one of those seminars we're having. And we are happy that all the participants were honest, frank talk, and time for hypocrisy is over. Time for falsehood and lies telling is over.
Multiple commissions have been created by the head of state, President Paul Biya. Some are put under the Prime Minister, while others are directly to the Presidency of the Republic. This commission, many are skeptical, will be one of such commissions that will only do nothing but carry the proposals to the hierarchy, and on the field, nothing is.
You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the English Prime News of Acamdis Television. We now moved on into something very interesting. Manicure and pedicure has always been referred to as a women's profession. But in our society lately, most men have won the trust of most women due to their commitment and seriousness in carrying out this activity. Our reporter, Geraldine Nase, visited the Mokolo market in the capital city, Yaoundé, and put this report for us.
The curation and care of a client's hands and feet, popularly known as manicure and pedicure, is a trade that has largely occupied the market in recent times by men who are being appreciated in the domain. This trade includes skin care, nail care, and artificial nail enhancement that can be customized to a variety of preference. These men have become popular and efficient in the trade and are being admired by women who come for hands and feet treatment. At
the beginning, we tried seeing how to get some income, and we saw that we can get this by training ourselves into something that has to do with women. We know that when you work in women's domain, you excel. And that's what attracted me to do this.
Though most of them started the trade as a means to earn a living, they have become acquainted to the job and have made it part of them. According to most of them, they got into the trade because they noticed that any activity that concerns women sells quickly in market. However, these men feel very comfortable working on women, most especially during in sessions whereby they interact with the women, and in the course they get to share their points of views concerning the struggles of life.
I am specialized in manicure, pedicure, makeup, piercing and tattoos. I also do eye lenses. It is not too much for me because there are things which we don't take a lot of time to do. You can do all of what I have just mentioned on one person.
Nevertheless, men of this trade say working in a domain that concerns women does not necessarily mean they are homosexual, as most people assume.
Cameroonians have joined the international community to commemorate the World Music Day. This day has been reminded us of late saxophonist Manu Dibango, who died last June 24, 2020. The ceremony went on in Paris, France, very colorful, in the presence of the Cameroonian ambassador to France, His Excellency André Magnus Ekuno. Let's listen to this report. The late African legend of world music has been honored in favor of the 40th edition of the celebration of International Music Day. Since last June 19, activities were put in place under the high patronage of the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, which took place in Paris to pay homage to the internationally known saxophonist Manu Dibango. This Tuesday in the French capital, activities have been multiplied with a solemn ceremony at Madeleine in Paris. An assembly of articulations in his memory has been ongoing for days to unveil the official portraits in commemoration and the posing of flowers in front of the Cameroon embassy in Paris. As Cameroonians and the world join to celebrate the International Day of the Music, His Excellency André Magnus Ekuno, close to his wife Claire Ekuno, Claire Dibao, manager of the legend, and Michelle Dibango, wife of late Manu, and a powerful delegation of a diplomatic mission and consulate, have deposited flowers, a combination of the national flag colors, at the cemetery of Père Lachaise, where the saxophonist legend Manu Dibango was laid to rest. Still in continuation with the International Music Day that has been celebrated in Cameroon and worldwide, Cameroonian musicians were promised some financial dues. In regards to this, the disgruntled musician says that they have not yet received their money. Stephen Elangwe, our reporter, took interest in that, visited Sonakam and tried to get a fair version from these musicians in that part of the town. His report.
It is 48 hours since they were told to expect copyright authors financing, but nothing has been done till now. After visiting the Sonakam office, the Cameroonian artists were informed the withdrawal would take place at a microfinance bank.
Now we are still here. They are still telling us that there is no money in the bank. There's money and they have to put it in everybody's account. I don't know. So we have to go back home in order to come back tomorrow. That's what they said. For more than a week right now, that artists are suffering. For more than a week, because when they said there is money that you guys will have to touch somewhere, we are waiting for that. Obviously, you have to wait for that. Even if you were not waiting for it, when they said there's money, you have to wait for. But right now, there's nothing.
The copyrights of the artists, which has not been given as promised, give the musicians much ado and worry.
We are not satisfied. How can you satisfy with the fact that you come, they said that there's no money? You are coming to take money, they said there's no money. You can't be satisfied. There's no way you have to be satisfied and what is going on here in Cameroon. Let them explain everything to us. I think the best way is not to come at what they call microfinance. They were supposed to go directly at the bank. How can they ask artists to go and put themselves in a sort of microfinance that will not be able to pay us the way they have to pay us?
In the words of a delegate at Sonakam, the next 24 hours will not die out without each of the artists receiving his due amount, either by direct withdrawal from the bank or by deposition into their various bank accounts.
We now take you out of the country. We discover short where the former president of Ivory Coast, Laurent Gbagbo, declares a divorce with his wife, Simone Gbagbo. Former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo has filed for a divorce from his wife, Simone Gbagbo. Mr. Gbagbo fitted his application for a divorce Monday, June 21, 2021, with a matrimonial court of first instance of Abidjan. Gbagbo's application comes 3 days after his return to the country. More on this will be yours in our subsequent newscasts. We continue with Laurent Gbagbo, where he has made his public appearance in a church on religious mass June 20th, 2021. And then in South Africa, the lifeless bodies of 20 miners have been found in the northwest part of that country. We have more of these with Stephen Alangwe.
After his return to his motherland, Laurent Gbagbo effectuated his first public appearance at a religious mass last June 20 in the St. Paul's Cathedral, where he was welcomed by Cardinal Jean-Pierre Coutois. The ex-president finally returned to Ivory Coast on Thursday after the International Criminal Court upheld an acquittal of charges related to crimes against humanity. Gbagbo's return to the country was given a statesman's welcome. Over in South Africa, a legal inquest has started Monday, June 21, to identify the bodies of 20 miners discovered in Orkney. The deceased, who were found at 2 locations, had suffered severe burns. The atrocity leaves eyebrows winging as the dead miners were found wrapped in plastic bags. Alleged to be what is commonly known in South Africa as the Zama-Zamas, the miners have been termed illegal, and post-mortems will be conducted to find out the cause of their deaths. Over in West Africa, precisely Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has this Tuesday, June 22, christened a committee of ministers to dialogue with Twitter over the ban of the multi-blogging site. The federal government of Nigeria had banned Twitter indefinitely after the platform deleted a tweet from President Muhammadu Buhari's blogging site. But latest news by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says a team has been set up by the president to dialogue with Twitter. This comes up after the platform sought to speak one-on-one with the president of Nigeria.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with this report that we draw the curtains of our English Prime Newscast of Acamdis Television. But before we say goodbye, here are the headlines. The Cameroonian Commission of Human Rights and Freedom has presented a human rights situation to the Parliamentary Committee during a committee meeting this Tuesday at the National Assembly, chaired by the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee, Zondol Herses. A scanner has been offered to the Yaoundé Central Hospital by a United Nations Development Program. The scanner was received by the Minister of Health, Public Health and Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, this Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. This comes as a way to strengthen relationship ties with Cameroon and to ameliorate and facilitate working conditions of health officials under favorable conditions. This Tuesday, June 22nd, has been celebrated as World Music Day with memory to the late saxophonist, late Manu Dibango, who died last March 24th, 2020 due to COVID-19 in Paris. Thank you very much for being there. It has been an honor. Stay tuned at 8 p.m. You have the French news with Claude Mayo. Have a blessed evening in the company of our programs.